What if I told you Ferrari is planning a design so radical for 2026 that even Mercedes' controversial zero-pod experiment might look conservative? Why is Fred Vasseur suddenly restructuring the entire technical team just months before the biggest regulation change in F1 history? And here's the real question. Is Ferrari's reported most ambitious power unit project on the grid their secret weapon? Or are they about to repeat the same mistakes that cost them championships in the hybrid era? Right now in Maranello, something extraordinary is happening. Charles Leclerc was there. The entire team has gathered, and according to reports from Italy, they're not even thinking about 2025 results anymore. Every single person in that factory has their eyes locked on one target, 2026. Let's be clear about what's at stake here. The 2026 regulations represent the biggest technical reset since 2014, and we all remember how that turned out. Mercedes dominated for 8 consecutive years because they got the hybrid power unit right from day one. Ferrari, they're still trying to catch up from that mistake 11 years later. But here's where it gets interesting. After the departure of key figures like super consultant Zimmermann and Lars Schmidt, Ferrari's engine guru, Enrico Gualtieri, now has full independence over the power unit program. No more political tug-of-war behind the scenes. No more competing voices pulling the project in different directions. For the first time in years, one person has complete control of Ferrari's heartbeat. And the structure changes don't stop there. Fred Vasseur has brought in Frank Sanchez, a former Sauber engineer and one of his most trusted allies, to lead aerodynamic development. He'll work alongside Diego Tondi, Ferrari's head of aero, splitting what was previously too much responsibility for one person. Add Loic Serra, a huge name in chassis and suspension design, and you've got what insiders are calling a technical triangle. But here's what Ferrari isn't telling you about their power unit strategy. The development timeline looks promising. Reports indicate Ferrari's power unit program is right on schedule, with the focus on integrating the new hybrid systems seamlessly with the chassis. This is absolutely critical because the 2026 rules dramatically increase electrical deployment around a circuit. The recovery systems aren't just important anymore. They're fundamental to lap time. You'd think this means Ferrari is in good shape, right? Well, not quite. There's a fear brewing in Maranello, and it's a justified one. Mercedes could come out of the gate swinging with the same advantage they had in 2014. Why? Their huge industrial resources and wider customer base means more test data, more dyno hours, and crucially, more feedback from the track. The rumor is that Mercedes will be using all their customer teams to stress test the engines in pre-season more aggressively than their own factory team. Ferrari, with fewer customer teams, doesn't have that luxury. This is where the story takes a turn, because Ferrari's response to this challenge might be the most controversial decision they've made in years. And what they're planning for the chassis could either be genius or complete madness. Reports from Italy suggest Ferrari has already locked down the macro areas of their 2026 design, especially suspension packaging. The new era cars will be lighter, narrower, and more aerodynamically efficient to meet FIA targets. That's the baseline everyone's working toward. But here's the bombshell. Ferrari could be experimenting with their own version of the Mercedes Zero pods. Now, before you jump to conclusions, let me be clear. This comes from highly advanced and unique packaging they expect to achieve thanks to changes in their new 2026 engine architecture. Yes, these are rumors from credible sources, but there's legitimate engineering logic behind this. Think about it. With the exit of the ground effect era and the porpoising problems that plague the current generation, zero pods become much more feasible than they ever were. Pair that with suspension concepts from Serra focused on maximizing airflow management, and you're looking at a potentially extreme design philosophy. The decision-making structure makes this possible. Fred Vasseur has the final say on all parts. Suspension, engine, everything runs through him. The days of the flat horizontal leadership structure from the Mattia Binotto era are gone. This is a leaner, more decisive Ferrari. But there's a problem with being this aggressive, and Ferrari knows it. Here's the reality check. When you push engineering to extremes, you walk a tightrope between brilliance and catastrophe. Ferrari insiders are describing these 2026 features as very aggressive and on the extreme side of things, particularly with the engine. That leaves room for serious trepidation. They could go too far and run into reliability issues. But here's the counter-argument that Vasseur and Jerome D'Ambrosio are making internally. It's better to have a quick car that needs fixing than a slow car you're trying to make fast. This represents a fundamental culture shift at Ferrari. For years, they've been accused of clinging to tradition, letting politics drag down performance. Insiders report that the mindset of, "this is how we've always done it," is being systematically eliminated. Vasseur is empowering technical people in positions of power to be more creative, to throw ideas forward without fear of ridicule. By putting trust in Serra, Tondi, Sanchez, and Gualtieri, and keeping decision-making clear and fast, Ferrari is building what one source called a sharper working unit across chassis, suspension, power unit, and the integration between all departments. The question that hangs over all of this is simple. Can they maintain this momentum when the pressure of 2026 hits? Will Ferrari's aggressive approach pay off? Or will we see reliability gremlins cost them another championship? Can their restructured leadership handle the intensity of a regulation reset? And most intriguingly, if those zero-pod rumors are true, will Ferrari succeed where Mercedes ultimately failed? The answers start revealing themselves in just months. What we're watching isn't just a car being built, it's Ferrari betting their entire future on one roll of the dice.